Welcome to another episode in this inventory tutorial series. So this is episode 4 and today we're going to look at item descriptions. So this is what it's going to look like so I can pick up an item. And when I hover over it inside of the inventory, you can see a description up there. So let's get started. So what we'll start off by doing is opening up the canvas and opening up the inventory and the container right here. Let's just enable that for now. Then I'll double click on the container and click on 2D view. Right now I can't see anything, so just go right here and enable dynamic clipping. Like that, perfect. And now we'll add an item description up here. So what we'll do is right click on the container and go to UI and choose an image. I'll call this image for item description and set the color right here of the alpha value to 150. And I'll set the width to 300 and then click right here for the anchor. Hold shift and click right there so it's anchored at the top. And I'll set the Y position to -15 like that. So now it's up here. Then I'll right click on the item description and create another thing. So I'll create another image, which will be the icon. So I'll just call it icon. And I'll set the width to 90. Then I'll click right here and anchor it to the left and set the X position to 5. So now it's over here. Then I'll right click again on the item description, go to UI and choose TextMesh Pro. I'll set it to black, set it to bold and set the font size to 28. And I'll just write item name for now. And then I'll set the X position to 50 and the Y position to 20, like that. And I will call this item name. Then I'll copy this, so I'll do Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, like that. So now we have another one, and I'm going to call this one item description text. So I'll just write item disc a few times like this. And then here I'll set the Y position to -16, and I'll set the font size to 18, like this. So now this template is ready and we'll then manipulate with it using code. So let's now just disable this item description parent and also the container again, like that. Then we can go to assets, open up the scripts folder, the inventory folder, and open up the item SO. In here we'll just add another variable which will be a public string called description. So we can add a description to any item. Then I'll open up the inventory script and in here I'll just add a public game object called item description parent and a public image called item description image, and we'll have a public TextMesh Pro UGUI, and this automatically adds this library up here, and I don't know why these two are added, just delete those. But we need this TextMesh Pro library for this one, which will be called description item name text, and another public TextMesh Pro UGUI called item description text. Like that. Then we'll now scroll down to the bottom down here where we will add a private void called update item description, and in here we'll do slot, hovered slot. So we need to get the hovered slot and we have a function for that, so we can just do get hovered slot. And then we'll check if hovered slot is not equal null. Well, then we can try to get the item of the hovered slot, so we can do item SO hovered item equals hovered slot .get item, and then we can do if hovered item is not equal null, so if the slot actually has an item, well then we can do item description parent .set active to true, and item description image .sprite will be equal to the hovered item .icon, and then the item description text .text will be equal to the hovered item .description, and the description item name text will be equal to the hovered item .name. Then we can return under this, and then lastly we can copy this down here where we'll set it to false if this one was false, so it just goes straight down here instead. So now that's done, so we can copy this and scroll all the way to the top up to the update function where I will just call it right here, and then we can go back into Unity. In here we'll click on our inventory where we have these new references we need to set. So first we have the item description parent, which is this one, so I'll drag that onto there. Then the icon will be the item description image. Then we need the item description text, which will be this one, and the item name, which is this one. And oops, I switched these two around, so let's just do item name for this one and item description for this one. Now let's go to assets and items and open up the axe first and click right here, and for the description we could write something like it can chop wood, and let's go back to the wood and here we can write it can burn, for example. And let's now test it out, so click play and let's try to pick up the items and hover over them, and yes, it can burn, and the axe, it can chop wood. Perfect. So I really hope you like this 4th episode of the inventory series. I would love to show you how to make craftable items for this inventory and this item system. But first I want to know if you actually want to see something like this. So if this video gets 20 likes, I will create that. And if not, I'll just keep on making other videos. And also check out my Skool community. It's the first link in the description. You can be part of a community in there, go through my courses and ask me specific questions in there. So go check that out. But yeah, have an amazing day.